To blame the coaching or not to blame the coaching, that is always the question, isn't it? Well, there's both. I mean, listen, there's no denying Nathaniel Hackett has made plenty of mistakes 2 weeks into his NFL head coaching career. But it's never that simple. There's never just one guy to blame. These things always have multiple assets coming into play. A great NFL team can still overcome bad coaching. See last year's Cincinnati Bengals for an example of that. And you could also have a scenario where great coaching still can't make a bad team look good. Maybe competent, but good, typically not. So what is the scenario here with the Denver Broncos? It is both coaching and it's guys got to start winning. And so let's start off with that. And let's start off with the talent itself. And that's the main thing I'm going to talk about here is there were some issues and also some flukiness that came into play. I do think the Broncos will figure it out, but stuff like this has to get better where it's going to be zone coverage. So you have one receiver who's going to run a deep route to take Derek Stingley kind of out of the play, which, I'm going to talk about him a little bit more. Derek Stingley, what a player, second year or first year guy in his second game. Oh my God. Anyways, but this is a great scenario because you're going to have Jerry Jeudy essentially on a linebacker. This is a massive mismatch. Watch how Russell Wilson takes the snap, runs the play action. Jeudy's starting to cut up field, has a linebacker on him. I'm sorry, you have to win this matchup. These are mismatches that you have to take advantage of. This is good coaching. You're getting a great receiver on a linebacker. This is not Nathaniel Hackett. This is actually great coaching. However, when it develops, Jeudy doesn't really get open. The throw's a little bit far, and they're not able to get a completion here. I mean, those are the ones that, listen, you're not going to hit 100%, right? You're not going to, nobody bats 1,000. You are going to have some strikeouts, but these are the ones that you want to hit on with some consistency. And the fact that they, you have to give credit to the Texans. They were defending well, but the fact that they weren't getting open was, to me, the biggest issue on these plays, more so than, coaching or even like Russell Wilson sucks. Like, watch, this is another one of I can't really blame coaching or Wilson too much, where it's again going to be, my guy, Derek Stingley, who I'm again so impressed with, going one-on-one against Courtland Sutton. Here, Sutton's running the goal line fade, the play that everyone loves. Every team does this. It's a low-risk, high-reward play. Throw it over top of the defensive back. Hope that Courtland Sutton, who's a great jump ball receiver, can make the play. And as you see, Russell Wilson's going to make this throw, and, it's just going to be a great defensive play by Stingley. Maybe it could have been a bit higher, but even if it was, I still think that Stingley makes the play. He had that one completely covered up. So this is just good defense, in my opinion. Yes, everyone views the Texans as just kind of being some scrub football team, but adding Derek Stingley, I think, has done a lot to this coverage unit and made them play a lot better. I think their defense is actually decent now. Now, that's not to say that the Broncos didn't have opportunities. This one was, again, kind of a fluky play. It's going to be zone coverage, so that's what's happening here. And watch what happens once this play starts. So Wilson takes the snap. Wilson is going to look underneath. I believe he's looking underneath. I'm not sure exactly who he's looking towards, but underneath is where he should be looking towards, because that is as wide open as you will ever see in the goal line situation. I mean, he is completely open. So for all of this, they can't figure out the goal line scenario, this feels figured out to me. Wilson eventually finds it, but throws it, looked like off a helmet. It bounced up and ended up being incomplete. So kind of some flukiness there of, if it wasn't for that, awkward bounce right in front of the halfback, you're talking about an easy touchdown. So definitely to me, this is not one of those, it kind of always goes back to, they're going to figure it out. The goal line stuff, I do think, will eventually regress to the mean, which in this case would be better for the, a positive regression for the Denver Broncos, and eventually get them, more touchdowns and that stuff. I do think it'll figure it out. Just, there is an element of luck to this stuff. There is. Football is not a game that is pure skill with no luck involved. No, luck does come into play. To me, this is kind of a fluky play that went against them. Now, this play is one that, if we're going to talk about coaching, I saw a couple things like this. I actually thought the play calling was pretty decent, but sometimes the execution wasn't ideal, and sometimes that is on coaching, where it's going to be, cover 2 zone. This is the concept that tends to be pretty good against zone coverage. You have 2 players who are essentially running into the same zone, and because of this, one's being shallower, one's being deeper. That defender can only cover one of those guys, the other one gets open. You hope the deeper route gets open, but if it doesn't, you can at least hit the shallower route, hope that he can break a tackle and get the first down, because this is on 3rd down, have to get to the 39-yard line. So Wilson takes the snap. Wilson is going to look down the field, and you see right here, I mean, at this point, it does feel like, and Wilson is, just about to throw this ball right now. He's in the throwing motion. Feels like the deeper route could have been open, but it's also too close, I think. I think that they got too close to each other. And maybe it's just because, the shallower route is right past the sticks. They decided to make that one a little bit further. I would have liked to still make that one a little bit shallower, but I guess the theory there is if they do that, then guys are still going to, cover the deep route, and now the shallower route is open. But if you have him, instead of cut right at the sticks, you have him stop at, the 36-yard line, you still have to keep an eye on him because he can catch and fall forward for 3 yards. But it also could open up the deeper routes. So maybe something like that. It's like maybe spread some guys out more, kind of these little intricate details that you will figure out just the more time you have to work on an offense. But instead, Russell Wilson throws it really in the double coverage, and it's incomplete. I still think Wilson should have probably tried to hit the deep shot if he was going to make that throw. That's just kind of my personal preference on that play. But regardless, again, little things that you can clean up to potentially make your offense better. At least, again, that's how I see it. Someone might disagree with that, and that's fine. And going over to the interception, this was the weirdest interception I've ever seen. I still don't understand how this happened. I don't really know what I'm even breaking down here, but I'll break down the play anyways. It's a cover 3 zone. You have Christian Kirksey, the middle linebacker. That's the zone that the route you see on the screen is going to go through. And so watch how Russell Wilson is going to look in that direction. You, again, do have a wide receiver on a, linebacker here. So you could say this is a good mismatch. This is something you want to take advantage of. That's why Wilson's throwing it. Now, Wilson's throw probably should have been higher, but also, again, I don't know how that one ended up as an interception. That's just one of the weirder plays you will ever see. So I don't know who to blame. I don't know what to say there, but it is another example, I guess, of you have a mismatch and aren't able to take advantage of it. And that's the main thing the Broncos, I think, are going to have to figure out if their offense is going to be good enough to be a contender. Listen, there's people who think the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl this year, or at least said the Broncos were going to win the Super Bowl prior to these 2 games. I was a little bit lower on them. I did not have them making the playoffs due to the fact that I felt like there was a bit of a lack of talent around Wilson, as in star talent. The kind of a team who has no real weaknesses, but not a ton of stars outside of Wilson. Again, a couple. Like, every team has some stars. But quite frankly, these are the games that shouldn't be an issue coming into play because you're playing teams that have weaknesses. Exploit those weaknesses. These are the teams, the Seahawks and the Texans, that you should be having no real issue with. And the fact that they're having issues with it, it's because they're, still trying to figure stuff out. That being said, the bright spot is you won this football game. Everyone's kind of talking about them like they're 0-2. They won this game. So if you can just continue to survive until you can figure out a way to actually be a good football team, that's kind of all you need, I think, is, again, just survive. You play San Francisco next week. That's going to, not an easy one. You play the Raiders the week after, not an easy one. So it's going to be a little bit tougher, but those aren't, unwinnable games either. You're going to have to hope that you figure it out then, though, because if you lose those 2 and you're 1-3, it's going to be really tough to make some noise, but not impossible. They just got to stay afloat. I think the next goal is to just kind of, stay at 500 throughout for the first 6 weeks, and then hopefully you can, you'll have it down by then. That's kind of what my mindset would be if I'm a Broncos fan. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this? Am I being too easy on them, too hard on them? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.